I am Matt Spruill, the author of Summer Thunder, a battlefield guide to the artillery at Gettysburg. My book takes you through the artillery fighting of the 3 days of Gettysburg by taking you to 35 different stops where the artillery was located. We are currently at stop number 22, the Peach Orchard. In mid-afternoon on July 2nd, Major General Dan Sickles moved his 3rd Corps from Cemetery Ridge forward to this location. The right of Sickles' line was located at the Klingel House, 700 yards behind me. From there, it came along the Emmitsburg Road, past the Sheriff-Free Farm, to this location. That line was supported by 3 batteries of artillery of 18 guns. In addition, there was a battery of artillery of 6 guns located in the Peach Orchard. From the Peach Orchard, Sickles' position turned east and went to the wheat field, which is on the other side of the trees behind me. From this location, along the road to those trees, there was a gap in Sickles' line. That gap was filled by the 4 batteries of Lieutenant Colonel Freeman McGilvery's artillery brigade from the Artillery Reserve. We will now go to one of those battery positions. As you look west from the Peach Orchard, at a distance of 600 yards, you can see Seminary Ridge, marked by the tall observation tower. Lieutenant General James Longstreet's 2 divisions were marching towards this location from the other side of Seminary Ridge. When Longstreet's lead units came up on Seminary Ridge, they were confronted by the Union troops at this position, and they began to deploy. McLaw's division deployed with 1 brigade to the left of the road and 1 brigade to the right of the steel tower. McLaw's division was supported by E. Porter Alexander's artillery battalion, consisting of 6 batteries of 24 guns. Alexander deployed his battalion along Seminary Ridge, from about where the steel tower is today, to the left and to the other side of the road. McLaw's infantry attacked towards this location and to the south of it. From here we will proceed east along Wheatfield Road to McGilvery's artillery brigade. We are now standing at the position of McGilvery's left battery, the 9th Massachusetts. His other 3 batteries were 250 yards to my right. Directly south at 1,400 yards, there is a battery from Matthias Henry's artillery battalion. Between that battery location and this position, at a distance of 600 yards, is the Rose Farmhouse. That Confederate artillery is engaged in an artillery duel with all of the Union guns in this position. When McLaw's infantry attacked, part of it hit the west portion of the Peach Orchard. Part of it crossed the open ground to your front, from right to left, towards the Rose Farmhouse. When they arrived in that position, the 9th Massachusetts Battery, loaded with canister, placed devastating artillery fire into their left flank. This caused part of that Confederate infantry to turn and attack in this direction. When the Confederate infantry overran the Peach Orchard, McGilvery was forced to pull his artillery out of their firing positions. The 9th Massachusetts Battery retreated across this field towards the Trussell Farmhouse. As these crews engaged the Confederate artillery, they would have used shot, shell, and case. As the infantry came into view, they would have switched to canister. And as the infantry became closer, they would have switched to double canister. Each round fired by this gun used 2.5 pounds of black powder. You can imagine the amount of smoke in front of this position. Each of these guns is served by a crew of 15, which includes the drivers for the horses. We are now at the Trussell Farm. The 9th Massachusetts Battery initial position was 350 yards in that direction. You cannot see that position because of the rise in the terrain. Bigelow retired all 6 of his guns across this field to this location, using a technique called retire by prolong. So what is retire by prolong? The prolong is a rope that was attached to the trail of the gun. When a gun was retired by prolong, part of that rope was attached to the end of the trail. The other part was attached to the lumber cart, which was pulled by horses. The gun was fired, and as it rolled back, the horses were driven in that direction, pulling the gun along. This prevented the crew from having to lift the trail and attach it to the limber cart, move the gun, and then unattach to fire again. It gave that crew the capability of maintaining a sustained fire against an enemy force. Under sustained Confederate infantry attack, Bigelow prepared to move his battery east. As he was limbering up his guns, McGillivray arrived and told him that he had to stay in this position and buy him some time. McGillivray was trying to establish an artillery line on Cemetery Ridge, 700 yards in that direction. He was doing that because there was no Union infantry in that position. Following McGillivray's orders, Bigelow had the canister removed from the ammunition chest and stuck next to the guns. This gave them the capability of rapid fire. These guns now engaged the Confederate infantry until they were eventually overrun. As a result of this action, John Bigelow himself was wounded. 4 of his guns were captured. 2 would escape. The majority of his battery was killed, wounded, or captured, and he would lose many of his horses. However, because of this sacrifice, McGillivray would establish a gun line up on Cemetery Ridge. That gun line would help stop this Confederate attack.